שלי, ארץ לא אביונה, למלכה אין בית, למלך אין כתר, ושבעה ימים אביב בשנה, וסגריר וגשמים כל היתר. אך שבעה ימים הורדים פורחים, ושבעה ימים הטללים זורחים, ושבעה ימים חלונות פתוחים, וכל קבצנייך עומדים ברחוב, ונושאים חברונם אל האור הטוב, וכל קבצנייך שמחים.
אז ערב טוב לכולם. שגריר ישראל בליטא, מר ארדולוס פרוסגר, סגן השגריר מר לייניס רובינסקס, ליה היקרה שלנו, גברת איגה מיקוטנינה. Hello. מר רימנטאס, סטנקביצ'יוס, ובמיוחד בני ובנות המשפחה שזוכרים היום את מי הצילו את חייהם. ברשותכם, אבקש לפתוח בכמה שורות מתוך שיר שכתבתי בסדנת כתיבה שקיימנו פה לבני הדור השני במשך 13 שנה, פה בבית וילנה. השיר אוהד לעיר שהייתה מולדתה של אמי, חנה לפסנזון, הד למה שהעיר הזאת הפכה להיות עבורה כבר בגיל 12, לזמן של כאב ובומץ של אובדן. מקטע קצר. בילה של ליטא, ארץ בלי אדמה, זרועת רוע ועורמה. החזק ניצח את החלש, בהיסטוריה חסרה נעמי. וילנה, עיר של שחמט, של פרשים ורגלים, של צריכים ומלכים. השכוח שח, השוחט שחט, והעולם לא מת. וילנה הייתה גם עיר של בחירה, כמו שכתבה המשוררת סיוון בסקים. אל תאמרי שכל זה לא קרה. ואנחנו פה בשביל לזכור. אנחנו כאן הערב כדי לומר, זה קרה. אבל גם קרה דבר אחר. היו מי שראו והצילו. חברות וחברים יקרים, לפני שמתחילים באופן רשמי, אני מזמינה אתכם לרגע לדמיין איתי סצנה. קובנה, 1943. החורף הליטאי חודר עד לעצמות. הרחובות מושלגים, ריקים, דוממים. פחד שוכן בכל פינה. בתוך הדממה הזו, דלת אחת נפתחת. מבט מהיר, שמאלה וימינה, ואז ידה קטנה מוחזקת ביד של אישה שלא מוכנה לוותר עליה. לא בגלל קרבת דם, לא בגלל חובה, רק בגלל אמונה פנימית שצריך להציל, שצריך לראות. האישה הזאת הייתה סופיה בינקינייה. יחד עם בני משפחתה, היא בחרה להיות בצד האנושי של ההיסטוריה, בצד של החיים. הערב הזה מוקדש לה ולכמוה. חסידי אומות העולם שפעלו בליטא בזמן השואה. מאות אנשים שלא נולדו גיבורים, אבל הכאוס הנוראי של הרוע ואי הצדק שהשתלט על תמונת עולמם, הפכו אותם להיות גיבורים, נחושים ואמיצים, למרות הקשיים והסכנות שעמדו לפתחם. הערב הזה מוקדש גם לבני המשפחות שניצלו, ולזיכרונות ששרדו. לעתים כחוט אדיב של סיפור, רסיסים של משפטים שהוריהם סיפרו, שהם נושאים בליבם עד היום. ואני רוצה להגיד לגברת מיקוטנינה, איגה יקירתנו, הנכדה של סופיה, ולכם בני המשפחה שניצלו בזכותה. הסיפור הזה הוא שלכם ושלכן. הוא לא רק אישי, הוא הפך לחלק מהסיפור של כולנו. גם העובדה החשובה שלך, רימנטאס, ידידי מזה, ששפכה אור על דרכן של מצילות חיים ומורשת תרבות, כמו אונה שימייטה, שחיברה בין שמואל בק, הילד הקטן מגטו וילנה, לבין משפחות מצילה, מלמדת אותנו שאפשר לבנות קשרים של זיכרון גם אחרי עשרות שנים. וזו הסיבה שאנחנו שומרים ובונים, הולכים ובונים כל הזמן גשרים וקשרים עם שגרירי ליטא בישראל, שמגלים הרבה תשוקה לקשר המיוחד הזה. אז תודה לך. אז בואו נהיה כאן הערב לא רק כעדים, אלא גם כממשיכים. נקשיב, נלמד, מתרגש מלזכור, ותודה לכולם שבאתם. אני מזמינה את מר אלוס רוסגר, שגריר ישראל בליטא, לבוא ולשאת את ברכתו לכולם.
ערב טוב. Labas vakaras. Good evening. Dear President of the Association, Mrs. Mikkantar, dear members of the Association, Mr. Stenkavicius, ladies and gentlemen. So we meet again. It was just yesterday that we had a very exciting and moving event dedicated to Mr. Samuel Bach in this very house of Wildbildner. Now today, we are talking about the righteous among the nations, individuals and entire families who helped save Jews in the Holocaust. And we have family members present today. I bow my head before them out of deep respect. Mr. Rimnātas Stānkavicius will take the floor soon to show us that even in the darkest night, you can find hope and a spark of light, something we call humanity. We all know that famous saying, whoever saves one life saves the world. You can put it in a different way. Every man or woman is a universe, because every person is uniquely precious, sacred. Saving one life, saving the universe. And just imagine, we have about, 900 or so, I guess, righteous among the nations recognized as of Rimei. How many Jews were saved? Couple of hundreds, perhaps? How many universes they saved? Who happened to walk around us, create, live, raise families, and keep this light, this torch of life, humanity, just really alive. And when you think about it, it's nothing short of a miracle. So we should recognize that not only politically, diplomatically, emotionally, we should recognize this phenomena as human beings, because this is part of us. This is who we are. And sometimes when I have to address events, occasions like this, I keep asking myself, what could you do in their step? What would I do in their place? We had also one event recently dedicated to Mr. Sugihara, the Japanese consul, who in coldness, again, doing his duty, but he saved thousands of Jews. He issued, as you know, I mean, the travel documents so they could actually leave Lithuania for safety. And then again, it looks like from the outside a very bureaucratic thing just to stamp visas, but it carries such a big political weight and also responsibility, because I think he was reprimanded back at the Foreign Ministry of Japan. I had to leave the post, and not was kind of a well, looked down on doing the right job in the wrong wrong circumstances. So I'm a diplomat. I share, I mean, that job with Consul Sugihara, and I keep kind of reminding myself, what would I do in his place in those circumstances? Would I be brave enough to put a stamp? I don't know. I don't know. So, and I think each and every time we have to take that test of humanity. Incidentally, and it's no incidents, but I think really a tragedy that even today, I think we have hostages still being captive, not too far away from him. And for more than a year and a half, we have failed them. We have failed to rescue them, to bring them back to safety to their families. Me, you, the entire international community, I think is failure on our part. So history, I think, is with us. It's not then, it's not back then, it's not somewhere in the books, in the stories. It's with us. It's a living history, and each and every time, I think we have to look into this and keep asking serious questions. Let me ask you a bit of a provocative question. Would you say the life of a Palestinian from Gaza? Or would you be brave enough to say that, do that, if the circumstances allow you to? Not everybody of us, knowing, I mean, what happened on October 7th. And it's very human. It's all very natural. So there is a fine line between a moral imperative and political expedience. And all those hard choices are all around us. So I think today is a good time and place just to really to think about it. And when we listen to the stories of those who saved lives, who saved the Jewish life, try to bring the present-day reality into this room and really relive all those stories, because they have to be part of us, have to be part of our presence. For that, I appreciate it. Thank you very much, for coming. First and foremost, of course, for the contributors of today's event, for organizers, including the Lithuanian embassy, who also worked hard behind the scenes in order to make this happen. But first of course, and foremostly by Villa and this community, which has been carrying this torch, this light, for years and years. Please continue that. It's very meaningful. So thank you very much. And of course, it's very significant that this is happening also during the week when we commemorate the Holocaust survivors. And it's tomorrow that we will go to Jerusalem also to attend the event in Yad Vashem. So thank you very much. And now I think the floor is supposed to have stories to share. Thank you. תודה רבה.
תודה רבה על שפעלו היקר שלנו. חבר אמת, אנחנו מאוד מעריכים את זה. אני רק רוצה להציג את ההמשך של הערב פה. אני מיד אזמין את חברתנו מירי, שהיא תקרא שיר שנכתב על ידי חיים חפר על חסידי אומות העולם. אחר כך אנחנו נשמע את ידידנו רימנטאס, סטנקביצ'יוס, שיספר על עבודתו, על עבודת המחקר המעניינת שהוא עושה, ועל הקשר המיוחד שיש לו עם יהודי ליטא ואיתנו במפרט. אחר כך, אז נעשה הפסקה קצרה. אנחנו נרצה לקבוע בחדר הזיכרון שני שלטים לזכרן של שתי חסידות אומות העולם, שפעלו וסופיה בינקינייה. אתם תפלו בזמן הזה בישות איתנו בחדר הזיכרון שנמצא כאן. אפשר יהיה בזמן הזה לנצל אותו לשתות או משהו כזה, ואנחנו נחזור למקומות, ואז נתחיל בחלק השני של הערב, שבו אנחנו נשמע את איגה, את סיפורה של איגה, של סבתה ומשפחתה, ושל המשפחות שניצו על ידי סבתה ומשפחתה. אז מירי, אני מזמינה אותה, בבקשה. ואני שוב רוצה להודות שגריר ליטא ולחברי השגרירות שתמכו באירוע הזה שמתקיים פה הערב. ערב טוב. שיר שכתב חיים חפר, חסידי אומות העולם.
אני שומע את הכינון חסידי האומות, ואני מנסה לחשוב על האנשים שנתנו לי מסתור ומחסה. אני מנסה לחשוב ושומע ושובה. לו הייתי במקומם, מה הייתי עושה? אם אני בתוך אוקיינוס של שנאה, מול עולם מתמוטט ובוער, אם אני הייתי נותן מסתור לבן אחר, אם אני הייתי מוכן, אם בני משפחתי היו מוכנים, לחיות בפחד מתמיד, כזה בתוך הרחוב, בתוך השני, לחלום בלילות את צעדם הכבד והמאיים של התריימי, מוכן להמשיך ולהלך בין מטחי היריות ולהווה הסכינים. בתוך לחשי הרכילות ומלמולי השמועות ותקוות המלשינות, וכל זו לא לילה אחד, לא חודש, לשנה. וכל זו בלי לבקש שכר מן הקורבנות, רק את לחיצת ידם. וכל זו רק לפני שאדם לאדם חייב להיות אדם. ואני חוזר ושואל את עצמי עכשיו מכאן, האם אני הייתי מוכן? אני רואה אותם, את אלה המכונים חסידי האומות. אני רואה אותם בארץ הקברי, חיים את שני העולמות, את העולם של האדישים, של משקפי החולה, של הרוצחים והשורפים. חיים בו בזמן את עולם החושך ואת חסרי האונים, ואני לדבר. אני רואה אותם חיים את שני העולמות האלה, תחת עולם של הכובשים, ושם ואז, בין הגבורה והפחד, הם בוחרים להיות דווקא בעד החלשים. בוחרים לחיות באימה מרחפת של כל המיתות והעונשים, כאשר הם מסכנים לא רק את עצמם, כי אם גם את חיי הילדים והנשים. בוחרים להיות צלם אלוהים שבתוך לב האנשים. להיות התקווה האחרונה המלצפת את המלואשים. בתוך המלחמה הנוראה הם שעמדו יום יום בקרב, והם הצדיקים שבסדום, שבזכותם העולם לא חרב. הם בתולדותיו של עמי הרצוח, הירוי והמת, היו עמודי החסד והרחמים שעליהם העולם עומד. ובפניהם ובפני גבורתם, שהיא עדיין לנו חיה, אנחנו היהודים מרכינים את ראשינו בתודה. ותודה לך, חברה יקרה שלי. זכיתי להכיר אותך ולהבין איך ולמה ומה קרה. את מיוחדת בדיוק כמו ששאלתי אותך פעם, איך זה קרה? ואת אמר, כשסבתא שלי נתנה פקודה, כולם עשו מה שהיא אמרה. אז תודה מכאן לכל המשפחה היקרה שלה.
Good evening, kids. It's a great privilege and honor for me to be this evening here with you in this commemoration days of Holocaust. Not once I was together with Nikki and all who arrived with in Vilnius. In preparing for this trip, I found papers from 2013 and a draft of the speech of the deputy speaker, Mr. Gediminas Kirkilas, for your delegation. And I found a list of participants of this delegation. And after that, year by year, we met with you in the parliament, in the Pomade, and yes. And this time, I'm here with you here. Thank you for invitation and possibility to be with you. I arrived from Vilnius being influenced by celebration of our 35th anniversary of proclamation of independence. So being very close to politics from the old days beginning, I remember very important events, our hopes and disappointments during this important for our country days. And I remember that the beginning with Israel it was very specific because we don't knew exactly about the tragedy of Jews in Lithuania, and Supreme Council in the 8th of March, they passed a declaration in which we said that on behalf of the Lithuanian people declares that unreservedly condemns the genocide of Jewish people in Lithuania during the Hitlerian occupation, and knows with sorrow that among the executions serving the occupiers were Lithuanian citizens. It was the first time as for so high level was proclaimed about some Lithuanians who participated in this tragic events. And for Lithuanian society, it was shock, yes. After that, the first head of our state, Vytautas Landsbergis, received the letter of the Speaker of the Knesset, from Shalansky, in which he wrote about with both tragic events and casualties in the Jewish society. So all two facts shows that question of Holocaust will be very important in Lithuanian-Israeli relations. In August 1990, heads of our state, Mansbergis and Prime Minister Buskine, received a summary of the meeting survivors of Lithuania jury in Caesarea, in which they wrote conditions how it will be able to recognize Lithuania. And in December, it was the first visit of the foreign leader of the chairman of the parliament. It was Dobshilansky, who survived, and during World War II he was a Šiauliai city, and in his being in Lithuania, he not once told for citizens of Šiauliai and in various provinces about suffering of Jews, and for his own example. And I want to remind you one more very important date, 30 years since our president, Algirdas Mykolas Brazauskas, speech in the Knesset. He said, "Dear delegates of the Jewish nation, if I could, I would address you with the words you begin your day with and continually repeat, 'Hear, O Israel.' From this podium, where representatives of many nations have stood in the very heart of your history and state, I, the President of Lithuania, bow my head in memory of more than 200,000 Lithuanian Jews who were murdered. I ask you forgiveness for those Lithuanians who killed Jews, who shot them, who deported them, looted them. These are words not easily said, but they are necessary not only for Israel and Jewish people. They are necessary for Lithuania and Lithuanians as well, because the catastrophe of the Jews was also a tragedy for Lithuania, because the only way to achieve reconciliation and to come to terms with history is the truth. It is not enough simply apologize. We must continuously comprehend it, that happened. This is our own path to the civilized both of the European nations from which we were separated for over 50 years, first by Nazi and then by Soviet occupations. Next day, in many newspapers was published this famous picture. And now I want to go to the question which our ambassador got to answer about saved both. Now, for the third time in March 15, we celebrated Day of the Jews rescue people. So in this day, in different places, we have commemoration of the writers among the nations and the people who are awarded life-saving crosses. We have 924 writers, as mentioned, ambassador, and 1,668 people who were awarded by Lithuania awards, life-saving process. How we became for this event? When we began to count, to find people who rescued Jews. The beginning was after the war. It's very strange, but it started in Germany. Displaced people camps where a few thousand Lithuanians they left Lithuania and were in Germany camps. And at that time, in 1947, 1948, they began to collect papers about Lithuanians who saved or do something good to Jews. And in archive, we have 241 such papers in which about 500 names are mentioned from different parts of Lithuania. And it is very interesting that later in Lithuania in Soviet times and after proclamation of independence, we find that many names are really was people who helped the Jews, and they were awarded how writers among the nations or the Lithuania award. So, Lithuanian encyclopedia Boston wrote about, evaluated our relations. And as you see here, it's mentioned that it was Lithuanians rescued Jews at the risk of being punished. In Soviet Lithuania, we have first very important and I can say only publication is the book I have here, Without Peoples But Fighters. It's very very interesting, very important book, which was proposed by Leibniz to complete for Sofia Bינקינייה, and she collected memoirs and writings and published this book. It's very interesting, but strange that in Soviet times it was published information about priests who helped Jews and people who were abroad. So and it became sources for future different presentations, publications for many years. So we are very thankful for Sofia Bינקינייה for this very important work, and I don't talk more because later Iga will talk about it. Here I put a picture from the encyclopedia of the writers. You see some surnames, names about Binki's family, which is published in this valuable encyclopedia. The authors, Jewish authors, began to write about rescues too, but it was first of all, it was Abraham Susseder in his book the נכדתה, and later Wojcicki and our authors. But most important, I think, most important author was David Levine. He was very involved in this question, and he published not one article in Lithuanian newspapers in the United States of America, and made conversations with Lithuanian about this very emotional question. In April 1974, it was very important and interesting conference in Jerusalem, rescue attempts during the Holocaust, and one session was devoted to Lithuania, rescue Lithuania during the Nazi occupation. So Sarah Leshalit, who was born in Lithuania, made this presentation, and she mentioned in her speech Sofia Bינקינייה, Šemaitė, Brother Gotautas, and Tara, but your decision was that only a few rescuers were in Lithuania who helped not Jews during the Holocaust. The main source at that time was Writers Among the Nation, information about Writers Among the Nation from Yad Vashem. But in 1974, as I have a document from archive, Bikini archive in Putnam. It was only 19 people who were awarded this award. But we must remember that award or this writer among the nation belongs of testimony the people who were saved. And at that time, they were not very active in this process. So this led historians and book writers to make such decision that in Lithuania were only a few writers. But we must understand that many Jews who were saved in Lithuania and they lived in Lithuania for many years, they had no possibility to give their testimony because Soviet Union had no diplomatic relations, and it was almost impossible to do. Only few people did it. And those people maybe don't know about this award, so we needed time to activate this process of testimonies, and it's began after 1990s. In the conference in Jerusalem in 1993, the Abraham Foxman, who had been saved in Vilnius, and he was the definition league leader of the league. He wrote that, he said, for the first 50 years after the Holocaust, survivors bore witness to evil brutality. Now it's time for us, for our generation, to be witness to goodness. And not only this one, but process began. And another important saying we have from Sarah Geneika, professor of the University of Toronto. She made many efforts to actualize the process, this process during cycles, Jewish cycles abroad, as well as in Lithuania too. And the process of knowledge about Chereskes activated with the help of establishing special division in Jewish Museum and active work of Victoria Sakaita and other employers who were very active in searching people in Lithuania who kept Jews during the Holocaust. So year by year, the quantity of people who were awarded writers in the name of the writers of among the nations began to grow very speedily. In 1990 we have 198, and after 10 years almost 400. And in 2009 we have 700, and now we have 924 persons. And as I mentioned, 1,668 were awarded our Lithuania Award, which was established in 1991. And I think that's very interesting and very important source. It became this book, which was collected initiated by Abramovich, and after your death, your brother Abramovich and the work continue this work, and it's evidence of 50 people who were taken from Kauno ghetto, being childs, and very, very emotional their stories. So one of the first women who was awarded was Ona Shimaita, is the best known in the world Lithuania writer among the nation. Why it so happened she became so famous? Because almost 2 years she got possibility to be in Vilnius ghetto and to communicate with people who lived here, and many intellectuals knew her, Suskever, Dvorzhetsky, and they wrote after the war about your death. So, and one more important thing, that 3 years from 1953 till 1956, she lived here in Israel, in Petach Tikva. And I read your diaries, and with the help of Chaim Lipschitz and Dov Levim, I received your articles, very important articles, which we don't know about, and translated and made publication about his life in Israel. She very highly evaluated Jews, their efforts to establish and to make strong states, and she participated in 5th anniversary of proclamation of Israel, and she, in the letter to Steinberg, she described achievements of the state and achievements of army. So it's very, very important and interesting source. I want to say that now interest for the people who helped the Jews during World War II is very, very big. I think in different parts of Lithuania, not by officials, but by individuals, people who think how to commemorate. One of them is Tauras Budzys, who made such a mark, and he put this mark in the cemetery, in the place where Elijah is buried. And he put 450 as Nobody asks him, nobody pays him, but his heart needs it. So, and interest in these places where he did it grow after such events. So it's very, very moving. So, and using possibility, I want to remind first visit of the writers among the nation to Israel in 1991. The group of 30 people visited Israel, and here maybe recognize somebody here from the family. I will help you if you don't. So these efforts by people who were saved, by organizations and museums, made results, and now the perception changed. Nobody has said that only few Lithuanians helped Jews, as it was 30 years ago, but in one conference in Kaunas, in which I participated too, I heard from the ambassador of State of Israel, who said that Lithuania is a small nation, and at that time it was 917. Is a big number for a small nation, and I allow myself to be proud of it. So, very emotional evaluation of help made many years ago a writer, Itzokas Meres, and he wrote very nice verse about his rescues, and this verse are used till now, and that Jews remember people who rescued them, and I think that this tradition we have alive. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That was very, very interesting. Very educating. אנחנו נלך עכשיו לחדר הזיכרון. נקיים שם טקס קצר, שבו נקבע שני שלטים לזכרם של אונה שימייטה וסופיה בינקינייה.
בכורה שלי, ארץ לא אביונה, למלכה אין בת, למלך אין כתר, רק 7 ימים חגים בשנה, ועמל ורעב כל היתר, אך 7 ימים הנרות ברוכים,
אני שמחה להיות כאן איתכם ולבצע את אחד השירים היפים ביותר שנכתבו דווקא בישראל על ידי המשוררת לאה גולדברג. לאה גולדברג כידוע ילידת גדלה בקובנה, וכתבה את השיר הזה משירי ארץ הארזיל. יש ויכוח היא באמת נכתב על ליטא או נכתב על הנפש שלה, בטוח לא נכתב על ישראל, היא כתוב 7 ימים אביב בשנה וסגריר וגשמים כל היתר. אנחנו יודעים שזה לא על המקום הפיזי שאנחנו נמצאים בו. אני רוצה להגיד משהו על לאה גולדברג, כי היא הייתה מורה של סבא שלי בבית ספר ברסיין. אחרי שהיא סיימה את הדוקטורט שלה, דעתי בבון, אז היא חיפשה עבודה, וכדאי שמערכת החינוך בליטא של היהודים בליטא הייתה מאוד מאוד ברמה גבוהה. מי שלימד לטינית היה כומר שפרש מהסמינר ולא, פרח כמורה שלא היה מספיק מספיק ממושמע, אז לימד לטינית. לאה גולדברג לימדה תנ"ך. סבא יצחק, סבא שלי אמר שהיא לימדה את הספר ישעיהו בשנה שהיא לימדה אותו, פחות או יותר את אותו פרק מתחילת השנה עד הסוף. והיא, כן, כבר אז כתבה שירים והייתה ידועה בתור בספר ורסי, הם ידעו שהיא כותבת שירה. וסבא שלי כתב שיר, הוא היה אולי בן 13 או משהו כזה, כתב שיר והגיש לה את זה כי הוא חשב שיש לו קצת כישרון בתחום הזה. היא קראה את השיר ואמרה לו, לך תחפש מקצוע אחר. ואנחנו יודעים שזו צורה מאוד ליטאית גם לדבר, אנחנו אנשים קשוחים שעוברים את האמת ככה לפנים ולא, בלי חנדלח ובלי כל הדברים של הפולנים, של גיוס וזה, כן, אנחנו מאוד מאוד straight forward, כן? כן. בלי ניואנסים מאיזה, אבל השיר הזה אני רוצה להגיד פשוט בשתי מילים שיש פה כל כך הרבה, מצד אחד הוא קצת אכזרי, כי אביונה שלי, ענייה שלי, כל הסופרטיבים שהיא מתארת את אולי זו הקהילה היהודית של קורטה, שבאמת הייתה די מסכנה במובנים רבים. יש בשיר הזה כל כך הרבה גם הוד והדר וחמלה, בעיקר חמלה. ובגלל זה הוא פשוט מדהים. הלחן הזה גם נכתב פה בארץ על ידי דפנה אילת, ואני מאוד גאה לשיר את השיר של המורה של סבא, לאה גולדברג, ונמצא איתי אומן שיעזרו לי בזה. בכורה שלי ארץ נו יבולה, למלכה אין בית, למלך אין כתר, ו7 ימים אביב בשנה, וסגריר וגשמים כל היתר. על 7 ימים אבודים פורחים, ו7 ימים הטללים זוכרים, ו7 ימים חלונות פתוחים. וכל קבצנייך עומדים ברחוב, ונושאים חברונם אל האוטו, וכל קבצנייך שמחים. בכורה שלי ארץ נו אביונה, למלכה אין בית, למלך אין כתר, רק 7 ימים חגים בשנה, ועמל ורעב כל היתר. עד 7 ימים הנרות ברוכים, ו7 ימים שולחנות ערוכים, ו7 ימים הלבבות פתוחים. וכל קבצנייך עומדים בתפילה, ובנייך בנותייך חתן כלה, וכל קבצנייך אחים. לה 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 לה. ענובה שלי אביונה ומרה, למלך אין בית, למלכה אין כתר, רק אחת בעולם את שבחך אמרה, וגנותך חלקותך כל היתר. ועל כן אלך לכל רחוב ופינה, לכל שוק וחצר לסמטה וגינה, מחורבן חומותייך כל אבן קטנה, על הכס אשמור למסגר. ומעיר לעיר, ממדינה למדינה, הנודה עם שיר ותקוות נגינה, לטנוף דלותך זוהר.
תודה רבה לאבטן ולאורן המפסימי. אנחנו הגענו לחלקו השני של הערב. אני רוצה להזמין בבקשה את איגה, ידידתנו, איגה
Hello to everybody. I just want to start first from the pictures. You can see my dad and my granny, Sofia Bikina. She's very sad here because this is about half a year after the death of her husband, which you can see now, those three pictures of Kasi speakers are famous, outstanding, Chris Wayne and the writer. Then goes my mother and my aunt. The lady which is in the corner, this is Olga Kuzmina, and she's the one also who has been helping and the best friend of my granny. She was helping to say Jews as well. And here is the family, in the audience, Yossi and Alita, whose mother actually was saved and kept, by Olga Kuzmina. Olga Kuzmina actually was just an actor, and she was also the first wife of the very famous just theater director, Dog Viedes. So another couple which you can see over there too. This is Natalia Likiarchida. She's the cousin of my granny, and she's the one who were not far from the ghetto, and she was the worker of vet academy, right? And it was almost bordering with the Williampura ghetto in Kovno. And in that vet academy, they have been having valuables of the people who were in ghetto. They had the opportunity to leave their things, and when they're going for works, and there are a lot of just ghetto inmates who were going to build their omot in Komna, Sotas, or somewhere else. So they were leaving those valuables, and they would be able somehow, in one way or another, to take them, so to trade them outside, so that they would be able to bring something back to ghetto to their families. It was very, very dangerous, very risky, because if they would be traced that they have something in their pots or whatever, they would be killed. And there were such happenings. Now, and Natalia actually, she had those valuables, and one is very interesting thing also, that it's also in that laboratory was saved a very famous Amati violin. It's the violin which is like Stradivarius or whatever, and again, Yossi and Vitala city there, and that's what their mother was writing in her just memoirs, that this violin was saved, so the family, when they came back to Israel, it helped them just to survive for a certain time. But the story is that, okay, so apart from all those parts which have been valuable, but Amati violin was really something. And Natalia, my aunt, said that she asked her chef or her director, so could you hide this violin in your room, in the laboratory? It was only belonged to him, to his cabinet, and it was almost locked. Somehow he was silent, somehow just he looked at it, does it agree? He said, no, I don't think that it is right. And he left the room when all the other workers were discussing what to do with that. But when he left, they noticed that on the table of the laboratory, the key was left. So he left the key, but didn't say, okay. So they understood that they have the right to hide it. And so that Amati violin was saved. And finally is my dad here, Blabis Vachikas. As you have got, actually, the 9 members of my family are the Chasiday Motolam. And he was actually the oldest in the family compared to my mother and to my aunt. Those are two nice girls. So he was actually the right hand to my granny. He is not very typical Lithuanian, and he actually was the artist of the Kalmas Opera Theater. He was a violinist, and he remembered also Evitats and Yossi's granddad, who was the Robert Standard. He was the concertmeister of the opera. And he was helping a lot, and also one of the privileges that he had during the war, because he was the artist and he was working in the opera house. So all these artists and orchestra players, they didn't have to well, they had the right. They didn't have to follow the curfew hour, you know. And actually, he could move, you know, in the city quite freely. So that's how he was when they were, you know, it's just dangerous that they would be searched in one room or in one place or in one region of Kaunas. So all these people, because my family, they had ties with a lot of other people. So it was quite a small group, so that there would be no betrays or whatever. But then they were removing, well, from the dangerous place to more safe place. And so actually, also Avital's mother, remember, when she was a little girl, she was about 2 or 3 years old, and she was also taken care by Olga Kuzmina, but at the same time, she was also stayed in our home. But she couldn't speak any language, and she was not, you know, just typical Lithuanian. So it was decided that the girl has to have, you know, some documents. And actually, she was Irina Petrova. It was the Russian name, but also the daughter of Olga Kuzmina. She worked in some, you know, the state company where she could give, you know, the documents. And she got the documents of that Irina Petrova, and it was confirmed that the girl was purchased from the train which was going to Germany. The Nazis were taking, you know, the children, and they were just sending them to Germany for whatever, you know, could say it would be the teenagers they had to for the hard works. And they were selling those girls on the platform, actually. And Aritar's mother was purchased for the 3 marks or litas, or the boys were more expensive, but anyhow, finally she had the documents. And there was the time when my dad, Vladas Varchikas, he was taking her to one place to another, and she just also remembered in her memories that having his hands, they were crossing, you know, dark, you know, just squares with the shadows of the trees from one place to another. And she said the nice thing that a lot of people saved her. But, and you know, to save one person, actually, in Lithuania, it wasn't one family. There could be even 20 people. Like Samuel Bach said, he was saved by a lot of people. But it was said that Sofia Beinkienė, she was saving all, okay? And the family, actually, it was also thought how my granny could, you know, just to feed them, and how she managed to have all this bunch of people. So it was also called even the hotel, the Jewish hotel, that the house of Beinkienė. But you know, my mother, she was a student. My aunt, she worked at the opera theater, and she was a cashier. You know, it was a very nice spot when you could come up and would tell her. She was reading what's happening, what kind of searches, what's going on in the city, as if they're buying the tickets. But at the same time, she had a lot of very informative, you know, just information what's going on in the city. So she was like that. And as for my dad, he was considered also, I heard, you know, some of those who have been survived now and they're gone, that he was very, very brave. And well, after the war, even, you know, when just he used to also to be the director of the music school in Kaunas, which used to be the real school during the interwar time. So even helped, you know, just some people. There was a very famous lady, Helen Holzmann, who actually also was hiding the Jewish people, though she was so German, but she was half German, but her husband was Jewish, and he was killed. So she was saving some children, and she was considered by the Soviets that, okay, she is German, she is Nazi, she couldn't find a job. But my dad was the director of that school, and he arranged that she would be able to stay in school and to teach till she had the opportunity to leave for Germany. So, you know, there are a lot of stories. I could tell you day and night, you know, a lot of funny stories. But, you know, I don't want to keep your time. Though think what I can say, that when my granny compiled the material about all those who had been saving at 1967, the book was published, and she was invited to go to Israel. It was like a bomb, the book itself, because it was ABC of what was going on that time in Lithuania, ABC of survivors, ABC of writers. And when she stayed actually in Israel for 3 months, and she liked country very much. And she planted the tree herself, which is also very rare. You know, you have seen the Schindler list and so on. Just the tree to Schindler was built on behalf by his, you know, just by the people who say, but my granny had an honor, if it's possible, to change to show, you know, where she's. Another thing, which is when I was talking about the family which is here. So there is also one family which belongs to Amos Golan, and I have here Amos Golan and Naomi Golan. And their mother always, when the ghetto was actually closed, she was on the way to be taken to Germany. She jumped out of the train and she was wandering in the streets. And it happened coincidentally that their mother, Esther Figman, she met my granny and she said that, come with me and I will help you. So as far as I know, I never remember that, but Amos told me that my granny, she said, no, I'm afraid to go with you because you will betray me or you can even just kill me just on the spot. But United said to come and I will help you, and she stayed with them, well, and now just a month or two till the war ended. And so all these people, when she came to Israel, they met her. And on the picture now, we just can have here, if it's possible, one more. Yes, but I just want to say, this girl which is over here now, she is the first one which was brought to our home, Gita Utelech. This is the family also of Ginka's family, no? It's the lady and 2 children. And the granddaughter of Ginkas is already sitting here. And Sonia Shabbat. Sonia Shabbat, those who are from Milna America heard about Sema Shabbat, right? Heard about that personality. So she was the second wife of the youngest son of Sema Shabbat. So Sema Shabbat actually, his older son left for United States, but he stayed here. And she was sister of Ginkas, of that lower part, Sonia Shabbat. Then on the top, this is Yevorova, a Russian lady who also participated. There were 2 Natashas, but they had different names. 2 Natashas, so this is Natasha Rigorova, and there was Natalia Pavlova. So they also participated in saving the children and so on. So, and on the top, there is Adina Segal. Adina Segal, and she's the daughter, which has the name Iga. You know, Iga is the derivative from Ligia. So I have 2 names, Sofia and Ligia. My dad was very much fascinated by his mother-in-law. So when he went to just write documents, so my mother said that she has to be Ligia because she gave the beautiful name of Sienkiewicz just Nobel Kovadis about a girl. So she was in love with that name. But my dad decided that Sofia is also not a bad name, and so he gave, so I got the Sofia here, 2 names. And Alina Segal, she was the one who also was serving in the house where my family lived, but she was serving for one man or whatever, who was, quite indifferent what was going on. And my granny said that that girl, there was a young girl, but she was going to the attic. So granny was always followed by her. And she said, why you follow me? Because on the attic, according to the Lithuanian tradition, there used to be smoked, smoked meat and so on, which was kept, for the family. And that neighbor of my granny was afraid, because the family was poor, that she will steal that or whatever, that piece of meat or whatever. So she said, my granny, okay, so I go and do that. You don't have to worry and to climb every time to the attic to watch me. But whenever you will need my help, you're welcome. And so at dinner, when son died, immediately we started to receive the letters. And thanks to her, she was invited to Yad Vashem. At that time, the director of Yad Vashem was Mordechai Baldeeli, and so I'll show you how she looked like at that time. And she has in her hands the Mendel, Probian Persian. And what's interesting also that being in Yad Vashem, she was allowed, she was in that hall in Yad Vashem, in the memorial, where all the countries are mentioned. Not that? No. She mentioned all the countries where the Holocaust took place. And she had the honor to rekindle the fire. All that. Okay, this is the cover of that book, which was really a happening. And when she returned back from Israel, at that time I was working at the airport. The airports at that time when I was, working there, so there was an international role for the tourists. During the Soviet times, all the airports, if they had been receiving their foreign tourists, because the tourism actually started in the Soviet Union when the thaw of Khrushchev times started. And then in all the airports were there places or the balls for us, Homo Sovieticus, I talk about myself, and for the international tourists, okay? And for international tourists. And I worked in that fall. And when my granny was flying she had to fly via Moscow. So the flight was delayed. And I took my granny into that international hall, but actually it was not allowed. And my boss, who came and certainly you could see that she is Homo Sovieticus, Soviet woman, and he asked, who is here in your hall? I said, it's my granny, but the flight is delayed, and I want her to be here. Okay, he started to talk to her in Russian. Was and will be, is for me always a very intelligent woman, and he likes her very much. So when she came back and she brought a lot of hellos from Israel, she brought some messages, certainly not written, but yeah, and actually it was our flat was Museum of Open Doors. Everybody was coming, visiting, asking, Granny was showing slides, and then I was invited after that by Department number one in every institution used to be KGB department. The guys sitting, watching, listening, and so on, getting the necessary information, what is necessary or not necessary, but they thought it is necessary. And in front of, I'm sitting in front of her, I see the piece of paper, the pen, okay, now you have to write down absolutely everything. Who is coming, what kind of questions, what are the answers, and so on and so forth. Okay, I said, well, it's the dirtiest way to arrange the spying on the granddaughter after the granddaughter. By the way, she brought me up. My parents, loved the child very much, but they divorced, and I was brought completely by my granny. And I said, no, I won't do that. He said, okay, from tomorrow you are fired. And you'll get the Wolf tickets, passports. You will not be able to get the jobs nowhere. Well, I'm trying to mind that damn international ball, try, and then the boss coming, he said, my brand. I said that Andrei Alexeyevich wants me to write a report on my granny, and otherwise I'll be fired. but he knew already my brand. And he said, communist also, strong communist fanatic, not the one to hire you and not the one to fire you. You will say, but after that, that KGB guy said that I get the information about you. You are staying in the airport. You are in the railway station. You are kissing all our enemies who are living, that type was Aliyah, who are living to Israel. And you know, if would be my role, I would fire you immediately. And I told me, I will be kissing, I will be saying hello, because I maybe will never see that. Because I had a lot of friends, very dear friends. One of the friends, I don't know, some of you maybe was Ron Levovich, who was invited to Lisbon. We were secretly listening to Vladimir Vysotsky, the songs which were forbidden. And how could I say him? Later I saw him, you know, in Israel, and we're just like brothers, sisters. How come? I said, no, I'm not going to stop that. And now I think myself that was quite brave, you know, but so, and so there are a lot, I tell me that I could tell a lot of things, you know, but I don't want to keep, you know, and, but once again, I really want to say that I'm very, very proud of my family, and as Itzhak Meres, he said that these people, all the Chasidim Omot Olam, they are just the diamonds of virtue in the Lithuanian crown. So, okay, so. I just want to tell all of you, Am Israel, hi, all the best betzlecha for לכולם, in my חיבוק ענק to לכולם. Okay, the question was about a very outstanding personality, Petras Voglius. He was the one who was director of the daycare,
Kindergarten.
No, it's not the kindergarten.
Nursery school.
Nursery, life. Yes. And you know, actually, he was the one how the families, knowing who there was the children actually and so on, and the ladies in the ghetto had no right to be in the child or to be pregnant, but if the child happened to come to the world, so a lot of these babies have been brought to the porch of that nursery, left, and Boris has been taking care of the children, and he grew them up. And so there is also, it's still that building exists, and there is a memorial plaque in Kaunas. And later on, his family, they moved to Vilnius, and it's a great pity, but once when I think the crown of all pediatrics, including him and two others, they were flying to a symposium, and there was a plane crash, and they all gathered. Well, the question was that it used to be organized saving, certainly because there was the hospital, all the nuns and everything. I think everything is clear, but I would like to say a few words of my brother, Amos Golan, and of my sister, Avitan.
First of all, I'm a miracle. I have two mothers. Yet you are my sister. Yes, it was interesting life there. And my sister and me, we even know that the Holocaust exists. My mother and father did not spoke about anything. And only in '68, when I met Rennie, serious relationship. So only in '68, I understood more about the Holocaust. And then we were in the ceremony in Yad Vashem, because as I mentioned before, my mother and mother did not tell me anything about. The boy will not hear the terrible stories. And because of this, 4 from my family become fighters in the Israeli army. I was commander of undercover unit. Another one was commander of the special unit. Another one was commander of another special unit. So we are pure Litvak, strong, and we learn a lot from our legacy. So now, going to be a ceremony, I will kiss her. Thank you.
I'm the daughter of Margalit Stender. To become Margalit Stender-Lonke, and my brother Yossi is also sitting here, and my daughter Inbar. My mother and grandmother were saved by Iga's family, and they were taken from place to place between the violinists and opera crowd of Kaunas. I grew on many stories, but they were always like children's stories. They were not chronological and they were not historical. And around 2008, my mother was contacted by Danute from Kaunas, who prepared the... I'm sorry with the pronunciation of Lithuanian names. It didn't come with the genes. Then the stories were chronologically written by my mother, and we also met Iga for the first time in 2011 when we visited Vilnius and Kaunas. And since then, my personal feelings about the Holocaust were changed, because instead of being angry and hateful, I wanted to put the focus on the people who saved my family, and for them, with their bravery, I'm here today, and my brother and my daughter. So thank you very much.
Lovely story, Samini. Okay, thank you very much for everything.
I met Iga twice in Vilnius. So, of course, I came here because of you. And we had a private conversation that I took so deeply into me, and I would like to share it with the crowd. So, with your permission, I'm going to ask you again the same question I asked you in Vilna. And I don't know about this conversation, if you recall it, but it's with me. As a third generation, what do you take to your private life today? Because we share how Anne, for example, accumulate food, or even though I was never starved for one day of my life, I need to know where I will have the next meal. I just got that from my parents. What do you keep from your family? Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, I had so many, just tourists, because I worked with the Jewish heritage as a guide in news. And I see also the familiar faces, and you remember them, but I don't remember really what I answered. So, sorry. So, actually, I don't know what to answer to you. So, it's a little bit weird question,